I'd like to call the Community Development, Housing, and General Government Committee for April to order. We have a nice long agenda today, so we'll get started. On the consent agenda, which we usually take first, are there items that someone would like to pull?
I'd like to pull C1 and C6.
C4. C1, C4, C6. I'll ask for C7 just for a cleanup, and C8. Okay, and C2. Why don't we just take the whole thing? Yeah. Do I have a motion on the remainder?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. C1, please.
Item C1, ordinance ordering the demolition and removal of a structure pursuant to Chapter 10, Article 5, Section 10-203F1 of the Code of the City of Winston-Salem, repairs less than 50% of the value of structure in 6 months. A. Roger A. Tomlin, property located at 1126 Waltown Street.
Mr. Bailiff. Yeah.
The one that I really wanted to speak about was C.
Yeah.
But,
But if we could, unless there are people here for A, B, D, and E, that would be Mr. Tomlin, Mr. or Ms. Johnson, Ms. Petrie, or Jeff's Business. Are any of those entities here? That's for 1126 Walltown, 648 Glenbrook, 2238 Glen, and 400 East 27th. If not, we could go ahead and the recommendation of the staff on this is to require that they be demolished and removed within 90 days, or that we allow the NREM provisions of the housing code to take effect here. And all of them are relatively in relatively good shape, not terribly expensive to.
As I understand it, Madam Chair, these are all for repair or demolish.
Yeah. What did I say wrong? Yeah, repair or demolish.
And I would move approval of C1A, B, D, and E.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All right, now.
All in favor?
Huh?
All in favor?
All in favor, yeah.
Aye.
Okay, let's have C.
Councilmember Lloyd, members of the committee, C1C is identified as 705 Chatham Road, in our case number 2010-11601. Tax block and lot is 0146 at 001. It's owned by Dreet LLC. The standards for fitness are such that staff recommends that this property have an ordinance adopted demolishing the structure. The estimated cost of repair, I'd like to change from $22,709 to $1,133. Fair market value is $80,265. Staff recommends that this structure be repaired or demolished and removed within 90 days. It is subject to NREM.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I believe the owner is here. If you'd like to hear from him, please, 3 minutes.
So the repair estimates actually on the property that I got, and I have copies of those, they run close to 50,000. I bought this property for 25,000 in a foreclosure. I plan to get it rehab, but I don't know where does this estimate of 1,000 comes in, you know. If someone can repair and rehab it, 1,000, I would like to have it done tomorrow.
And you say the estimate that you,
Yes, I have got 2 estimates. One is for the HVAC and the other one is for the carpet, the inside the walls. There are some structural defects. One floor is sinking, and so that needs some time.
Mr. Bailiff, can you enlighten us as to, you said this was a quick and dirty estimate.
This is an estimate that I put as a review of the violations of the minimum housing code that we have cited. The owner has indicated that he's making substantially different and additive type repairs to it, in addition to those that we have cited under the minimum housing code. We can only require those that we have cited, and that's why our estimate has been revised downward. Also, we're reflecting that some of those violations have been corrected at some point in time.
Thank you, Jeff.
A question of the owner. When did you purchase this property?
I think it was close to 6 months ago.
Okay, so the complaint notice of hearing that we have at the beginning of this trail of February 3rd, 2012 was for a previous owner, I'm assuming?
I was here, and then someone told me that it has been taken off the agenda.
Okay.
You mean last month, that was the meeting?
No, there's the due process. The first line of that is the complaint notice of hearing was issued on February 3rd, 2012.
No, I never.
That was
got
prior to your
That-
ownership
that
of it.
was prior.
Okay.
I think at that time, bank owned it.
Right, and your first notification,
Was the
Was-
last meeting that I was here last month,
Okay.
and they told me that it has been moved to today.
Right.
date.
okay. What is your schedule of repairs? What, from a time standpoint, when are you,
I'm, at this time,
Proceeding.
you know, just to go back one point further, you know, like the minimum code, I know that, like Bruce mentioned, even if you exclude the HVAC, the rest of the structural issues, and I can give you copies of those estimates, that too is like close to $17,500. I would need at least 6 months. I plan to get it repaired, you know. I'm a reasonable person. I don't mean to abandon. I paid the Texas city last year, $1,500, you know. So I plan to get it repaired, but I need some time.
yeah, I think one of the common concerns about cases, whether they're in a historic district or not, is that these things tend to drag on, and as they drag on, they affect the adjoining property owners. I don't think, based on the dates that you were notified, I don't think you're in a position to run into a time, the end of time, but I think that could come. One thing that I would suggest as you work on your repairs is to reach out to maybe the local preservation community and the historic resources staff, and I think they'll be very helpful to you in terms of not just structural things, but also look and feel of the things that to be done and what the market is looking for in that neighborhood, because there is a very sort of specific thing that people look for in the West End. So that might be very helpful to you.
May I have a recommendation?
Move for approval.
Thank you. Yes.
If I might make a quick note, we do have a list pendants that was filed on this. If the property owner did not complete a title search, then he may not have known about it prior to his purchase if it was from the bank. But I just wanted to make a point that we do make every effort to have public notification to anyone conducting a title search that we do have action against that property.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is to give him an additional period of time to do the repairs, or to pull it off. I'm a little confused about why, since he's a new owner, that this has come so quickly. Isn't there typically a longer period of time before somebody, a new owner, is cited for
The
demolition?
new owner would be under the same timeline as the previous owner.
Because they're supposed to be attached.
This property was brought to our attention as a complaint, And since it came to us as a complaint, we're obligated to go out and inspect. And that complaint came in. We actually had, I believe the case started before the complaint, but a complaint about the property came in from some adjoining property owners.
If I may, I also add with the notice of list pendants, that is filed in the courthouse so that any buyer or potential buyer is on notice of pending administrative housing code procedures. So they do the title search aware of such. And so the law does not require housing to start over because there is a transfer in title. So what I'm seeking here, I guess, is clarity in terms of what is the motion. Is the motion to give him additional time, hold it in committee, or move forward with staff's recommendation? So that's what I'm trying to ask.
And staff's recommendation is
It's 90 days.
90 days. I would move for that.
So that basically it's a repair or demolish order. So he has 90 days to either repair or demolish.
Right, to take care of the list of things that are code deficiencies. And is that a sufficient amount of time, in your opinion?
Like I mentioned, if we're looking at the amount of expense, I'd like for at least 6 months.
For the code deficient items, not the entire scope of work that you're planning on doing?
Well, these are two separate things. We can only look at the minimum housing code things, not the air conditioning and whatever. So that would be a separate thing.
Right, so the list of things that the city is saying needs to be done, not the things that you're choosing to do over and above that, but just those things that that the city says need to be done, is a relatively small list. And my question is, can that be done in 90 days?
But, okay, again, I'm a little bit confused. I mean, I'm saying if the floor of the house is unstable, is that good?
What we're trying to clarify here for you is the 90 days would cover those items that are remaining that are minor and unfit right there. And you should be able to complete those within 90 days and do those first. They should be your highest priority, and then follow up with your heating and ventilation and anything else that you would like to do.
So if I do those in 90 days, the act for demolition would go away?
Yes.
Okay, and the list is this one?
The list is this one, yes, sir.
And
Okay,
can I get...
And your estimate cost $1,000, $130?
That is our estimate, yes.
Okay. And
If you have any questions.
Can I get clarification on that? If he's showing that he's actively trying to get these things done and we bump into the end of that 90-day period, what happens then? Do we have options to extend?
We would look at how much had been completed at
Right.
that point in time. Even at the end of that 90 days, we have to begin our proceedings. We would not start the asbestos testing or any of the other items that are required. Those items usually take 45 to 60 days to get the permitting and the asbestos testing and anything else.
Okay.
So he would have a little bit of additional time.
Okay, we have a motion for 90 days.
I'll second it. I have a couple of comments.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Looking at the unfit list here, none of these, remaining unfits are long-term repair issues. They're all short-term maintenance and clear up, and a lot of them have to do with how the structure looks to the outside and the outside safety and conditions items. Things like the front porch, and securing it, missing doors, that kind of thing. So they're the types of things that if you take care of those, you go a long way toward addressing the deteriorating effect on neighboring properties, while you still then have time to do major renovations and upfits on the inside, like improving the HVAC system and such. So there's...
Like I mentioned, HVAC is not the main issue. There are structural issues. And from my standpoint, is getting it demolished. Of course, I lose, whatever I have invested. but obviously the city loses the source of revenue from taxation and those things. Like I said, I still don't believe that these repairs are going to cost $1,131. I would like to take that contractor and pay him starting tomorrow if he can do those repairs, or even now if he can do those repairs.
Even if I can just finish my comment, even if it takes more than $1,000, these are the kinds of things that we think, and the housing code says that neighbors can expect the structure to meet on a minimum. And the ones that are listed here are not things that are going to take you more than 3 months to do if you get after them. And so I fully support the motion to,
I agree with that.
require that. And one other comment in reflection on the change of ownership. Unfortunately, a lot of times what I've seen over the last decade, is that property owners tend to, this doesn't apply to you, but other property owners that have not kept the property tend to hold on to it to the last minute and then transfer it to someone who's coming in, perhaps unaware, but certainly unrehearsed in the whole history of the problem of property. And if we don't have some continuity on the enforcement action, we can end up with a cascading series of those transfers. And that's a part of the rationale for not starting over every time there's a transfer. If we had a case where the things that had been cited as unfit really couldn't be taken care of in 90 days, I think you'd get a different response from the committee here. But in this case, the specific items that are cited as the unfits are things that can be done in a short period of time, and we're endorsing the staff's recommendation that there be some pressure on getting those done now while you undertake the longer term work that you've identified. So that's what we're thinking.
Thank you, Mr. Bessie. I have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 3, 4. Okay. C2, please.
Item C2, ordinance ordering the demolition and removal of a structure pursuant to Chapter 10, Article 5, Section 10-203F2 of the Code of the City of Winston-Salem, repairs more than 50% of the value of structure.
Thank you. Of these properties, are there any people here to speak to them? 802 Jackson Avenue. Okay, so we have, let's see, are you Ms. Gamble? Yes. Okay, thank you. 2655 Blues Creek? No. 1317 Hattie? 401 Ross Street? (909) Gray Avenue. Okay, so 802 Jackson Avenue is the only one here. Do I hear a motion on any of the others?
Madam Chair, may we also hear a presentation on 401 Ross? I had a question about that.
Okay,
But
sure.
I'd move approval of C2, B, C, and E.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Bailiff, if you'll tell us about Jackson Avenue.
Councilmember Light, members of the committee, 802 Jackson Avenue is identified by our housing file 2003-060-007. It's tax block and lot 0440-478. The property owner is Mary D. Moses Ayers in care of Belvia Gamble. The property meets the consideration requirements for demolition. The estimated repairs are greater than 50%. The estimated cost to repair is $11,218. The fair market value is $3,051. Based on the above information, it is recommended that an ordinance be adopted to cause this dwelling to be demolished and removed within 90 days.
Thank you. Ms. McCullough, do you have anything to say about this? I see that this is listed as a part of a historic area.
This structure is located is a contributing structure in the Reynoldstown Historic District. This is just a National Register district, unlike the last case we just saw, which was in the West End Historic Overlay, which is the locally designated district. So this house would be eligible for the tax credit program if they could qualify for that. That's a state-administered program for repairs and things like that. So just to let you guys know that it is located within that historic district.
Thank you.
If you have any other questions, I'm here.
Thank you.
Michelle, can I ask one quickly? Is there enough of the original structure there to remain as a qualifying structure?
It is a contributing structure,
Okay.
so it would qualify.
Okay.
Yep, because it's pretty much in the same condition it was when the district was completed.
Okay.
So they kind of looked at it and said, we see it, so.
Committee?
We have somebody talk about
Yeah. Or move to go ahead with it.
Was there a representative?
Don't we have somebody here to speak to it?
Oh, yes, Ms. Gamble. Did you want to address this? Up here, please.
I know I can complete those manners that they have on here, because I've already been working on it. It's just that things came up that I couldn't continue. So, I know that I can get those manners done within the 90-day period if I'm given that opportunity to do that.
All right. Well, then, the owner thinks she is able to get that done. Are there any questions for her? Mr. Bassett.
Ms. Campbell, so you've looked at the list of the repair requirements, and you anticipate that given 90 days you could fix the remaining unfits there?
Yes.
Okay. I'd be willing to move approval with modification that it be repaired or demolished. Changing that to the repair option.
Have we had any neighborhood input?
No, and Derwin isn't here to tell us. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard? Okay. All right. So nothing.
I'd be amenable to an amendment.
Basically, it's the same time frame. It's just saying if you think you can fix it, then please do.
Yeah, repair or demolish. Okay. All right. Then, Ms. Gamble, there is a 90-day window to go ahead and get those repairs done, or there will be a requirement to demolish the house.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
We haven't voted on that, but it's been moved and seconded.
Aye.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. Okay, that takes care of C2, so C4.
C2D, please.
Did we pull that?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about it, Dan, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. 401 Ross Street. D.
Councilmember Lloyd, members of the committee, 401 Ross Street is identified by housing file 2003-061790, tax block 1599 at 030. The property owner is Anahila Brown. This meets the criteria for demolition consideration because the estimated cost of repair exceeds 50%. Estimated cost of repair is $11,391. The fair market value is $21,000. Based on the above information, it is recommended that an ordinance be adopted to cause this dwelling to be demolished and removed within 90 days.
Mr. Bass?
The reason I asked for this to be pulled for review is if you look at the photos, the house gives the appearance from the exterior of being structurally sound enough to be repaired, and the actual list of unfits is just too long, basically. And there's only 2 items long. It's repair the chimney and repair the porch ceiling. I don't know if there's a responsible owner really out there, but if there is, I'd like to give them the kind of the notice, and the option to fix it, rather than necessarily knock it down, unless there's some reason to go strictly to the demolish option.
Mr. Bailiff, it doesn't look like there's been any communication at all from the owner.
No, our records don't show any communication from the owner.
And it's been ongoing for 8 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And for discussion, I'll move approval with the repair option as an insert, basically repair or demolish. And if they don't respond, they miss their window.
Okay.
This one's kind of troubling to me. I mean, we've got a list of a lot of things that we're tearing down that if located a little bit differently, we'd have people crawling all over to do restoration work on. And we're tearing these things down and throwing them in the landfill, and they're potentially historic structures. I mean, they may not be in a historic district, but we're losing an awful lot of housing stock, and we're going to get to another item here later on in the agenda talking about our housing needs. The problem is when you have non-responsive owners, and there's not another mechanism of how to deal with this. And I know that we have legislation allowing us to take property by eminent domain, but I think we have to work through that. That may in the future be a way to go. But it just really pains me to see what is really, a very savable house go under the bulldozer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we also know the neighborhood side of that argument.
But exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's okay. So you have moved repair or demolish, and I will second that. And I'll just keep you from having to do that. All in favor?
aye.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Mr. Bessie, you wanted C4.
Item C4, resolution approving the fiscal year 2015 Housing and Community Development Program and authorizing submission of the 2014-2015 annual plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. This was reviewed and discussed in finance yesterday, but I note that it was sent forward without a recommendation. And I just wanted to comment that I am entirely in sympathy with our colleagues' desire to have more advanced input. However, I'm concerned that we can't afford to miss that deadline. So in order to get into the substance and the details of these in a meaningful fashion, I think we're really going to have to arrange to have them come to committee earlier so that it can be cycled through for alternatives, or we're just going to have to admit that we're stamping them. And having looked at these in more depth when I was chair of the committee and the council's representative to the 10-year homelessness plan commission, I think these are basically sound grants, and I don't want to do gamesmanship with them. So I'd like for us to either do a sort of a mild review and keep them moving, or get them to us earlier, you know, if we have, you know, colleagues who want to really dig into the weeds and make specific alternative recommendations. But just a comment. Because this happened last time, basically. It came in late. It was danced over. Ended up going through without any substantive changes, and we need to kind of, I think, shift the timeline on which those are reviewed. Thank you.
Do you have any comment? I'm in agreement with Councilmember Bessie, and certainly Mr. Brooks talked yesterday about in future years trying to push back the beginnings of this process so that that there will be more time for digging into it and also educating other people about applying for some of this. So I agree that it's something that we could recommend to the full council.
I don't want to be gratuitously offensive to the perceived need to have this go forward without a recommendation. So I'll move that we also send it forward without a recommendation. But I'll just say frankly, I'm going to vote for it at the next meeting, unless there is a specific, well thought out amendment, in which case I'll vote for it as amended.
Right.
We've got to get, these are important programs. We've got to
Absolutely.
maintain them, and we need to keep this moving before the federal application deadline.
Right. Okay. Okay. As a motion? Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Chairman, if I could just add two things we're going to do in the future. On this item specifically, we're going to change our schedule so it comes at least another month earlier. But on this item and many other items where we're receiving more requests for the background information. For instance, on this item alone, I think Mr. Brooks said there are 6 notebooks of all the applications. So we're going to set up a system so that all of those, all that detailed documentation will be posted through a Dropbox on our website. I don't want to make your agenda book, I don't think, this thick, but we'll put links there so those on council who choose to want to get into the weeds, I think as you said, we will give them a way to do that.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Garrett.
And I think that's legitimate. I mean, I get deep into the weeds on transportation. I know I'm a headache to Mr. Turner and Ms. McCullough and all on those. So I don't blame my colleagues who want to choose to, make themselves substantive area experts on the background of these programs and really dig in and make substantive considerations. Go for it.
It'd be good to put it out there for the citizens as well. So we'll.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. C6.
Item C6, consideration of items relating to the City of Winston-Salem legislative program for the 2014 legislative session. A, resolution supporting the extension of the North Carolina film tax credit, and B, resolution supporting the extension of the North Carolina State Historic Preservation Tax credits.
I wanted to pull this item, and this is
Who did it?
being gratuitous. This was a gratuitous effort on my part to just bring attention to the historic tax credit and how important it is to Winston-Salem. And I'm very happy that hopefully the full council will support sending us to the state. Put this in the film tax credit, I think, are poorly understood by the general public, but I think people in office understand just what the impact is to our community.
You move for approval?
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep. Thank you. C7.
Item C7, report on minority and women business enterprise disparity study.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I know that Finance didn't have the opportunity to get into this, and this is a case where I think we should defer to their decision to hold it over for more substantive review in May, and I would move to do the same in this committee.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. So we hold this until the May.
Committee meeting, which is May
whatever, yeah, yeah.
14th, maybe?
Okay. All right. I've pulled C8 because I wanted to recognize our Youth Advisory Council members. Wanda, oh, there you are. If you would like to introduce your Youth Advisory Council members and let them have a little say about what they're doing.
Sure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Light, council members. We do have members of the Youth Advisory Council here to make their own presentation to you and make comments as they see fit. And so I'm just going to simply turn the floor over to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, members of the City Council. My name is Christy Sacano, and I am the chair of the Winston-Salem Youth Advisory Council. I am a senior at East Forsyth High School here in Forsyth County. We would like to thank you for letting us be able to talk with you today. It's a wonderful opportunity for our council. So here I have the rest of my council, actually a good portion of them, and they'll introduce with their name, their grade, and also the high school that they go to.
My name is Anna Pay Glover. I'm the vice chair of the council, and I'm a senior at Mount Tabor High School.
I'm Asia Cottrell. I'm the secretary of the youth council, and I'm a senior at Early College of Forsyth.
My name is Deborah Birch, and I'm an executive.
My name is Zamer Gillespie, and I'm in 10th grade at Winston-Salem Preparatory Academy.
As you all know, each year we complete an annual project. Oh, did I miss someone?
I'm sorry. My name is John Scott. I'm part of the College Advisory Board. I'm the representative for Wake Forest University in Virginia.
Thank you.
I apologize. As you all know, each year we complete an annual project by partnering with a different charity organization in order to improve the lives of those in our community. This year, the Youth Council partnered with Project Hope. Project Hope is a program offered by the WSFCS that addresses the needs of homeless children and their families in an effort to eliminate gaps in school enrollment of homeless students, improve the attendance and academic performance of homeless students in school, and to increase the involvement of homeless parents in the education of their children and in the community service delivery system. A lot of these kids need very basic needs, such as winter gloves in the winter and pencils and paper for school. So the council applied for a state grant, and we were awarded $300 to purchase 150 YAT packs, is what we like to call them. And each of our members then reached out to our own home schools and gathered donations to fill the packs with winter essentials to be given to the youth. And we're planning on creating 200 more packs for this summer with a $320 grant that we just received from the Youth Grant Makers in Action, as well as more donations from our schools.
Very good.
The goals for Winston-Salem Youth Advisory Council for this year is to maintain and encourage the Youth Expression Wall, to continue learning about the community through presentations at our meetings, to meet the requirements as chartered members of the State Youth Council, to find ways to connect to the other students outside of YAC, and to complete the end-of-year project, as Anna mentioned.
So we hope for continued representation from the youth in Winston-Salem in the Youth Council as well as from all the schools. We strive to excel, to impress, and to make a change in the community and even our world. We ask that the City Council support the Winston-Salem Youth Advisory Council's goal of building a stronger relationship with the city officials.
We would like to thank you so much for letting us present today, and we would once again like to acknowledge John Scott from Wake Forest University representing our sister board, the College Advisory Council. And if you have any questions for either of us, we would love to answer them.
Committee, any questions? Except very impressive.
Just to say thank you for being involved.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Good afternoon, council and community members. I'm part of the College Advisory Board, and for this year, we decided to focus on the subject of the Winston-Salem Transportation Authority. And what we determined through our research, we submitted surveys to each of our institutions on the topics of where we found the need for transportation was needed the most. And we found that to be a lot of students felt that the transportation system in Winston-Salem was pretty difficult to use. We have been made aware of your recent renovations to the website and the recent creation of the Winston-Salem app. And we have determined that it would be most helpful if we could create an app that is more college need-based, pretty much. And we based this off the framework of a 3-click series, to where pretty much it would only take 3 clicks for any student to get to where they need to go. So, of course, the first one would be your location where you need to go, and then the second click would probably be what school or what campus you're on, and then the third one would reveal their final destination, how to get there. So this is something that we have actually looked into at the Wake Forest University Computer Science Department, and we have determined that Wake Forest already has an app like this, and we have also found that Greensboro already has an app like this. So we wanted to model something along with that, and this is something that we're going to be working more in depth with next year on the College Advisory Board of 2015.
Thank you. That's very good. That would be very useful. Mr. President.
Have you had an opportunity to discuss whether that app will work with the NextBus app?
We have used the NextBus app. I was able to watch the video. Very great presentation. We're trying to figure out a way to correlate the NextBus app along with the Ride the Wake app, which is a pretty simple app, and I think it would be fairly easy for the computer science department to find a way to connect those two.
I'll look forward to seeing those.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all very much for visiting us and keeping us up to date.
Thank you.
Thanks. Keep up the good work. Okay, I think we have finished the consent agenda. It only took us 45 minutes. Okay. We will take up the general agenda.
Item G1, resolution approving revisions to the Revitalizing Urban Commercial Areas Program guidelines.
I will point out that this was again heard in finance yesterday and passed was approved 3-1. What is the pleasure of the committee? I think both of you were present at that meeting.
I felt like my concerns were dealt with yesterday.
My questions were answered yesterday. I think that Councilmember Montgomery had a reasonable concern about a categorical exclusion of renters from participating. I think it ought to be easy enough to design a fix that would that would not categorically exclude them from participation so long as the underlying property owner was also a participant, and would commend that to attention of staff with a request that that be developed and offered as a possible tweak that would make it a consensus item.
Sort of a co-signer kind of agreement. Yeah.
Well, somebody who we can go back to reclaim assets.
He's got the title of the property.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I would be in favor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. All right. If that is in the form of a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. G2.
Item G2, consideration of items related to city permit issuing process. A, resolution approving revisions to the city's permit issuing process, and B, ordinance amending various city code provisions to consolidate and streamline the application and approval process for certain city permits and facilitate compliance.
This too was heard in finance yesterday. I forget the disposition. What was it?
It was approved, and I think they're going to be future reports on modifications, I believe.
Okay, that's okay. All right. Okay.
I'd move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Number 3, G3.
Item G3, presentation on city slogan results.
Mr. McNeil.
Hi.
Hi.
Chairman Light, members of the committee. I'm Ed McNeil, Director of Marketing and Communications. Earlier this year, you had an item brought before you. It was about the effort to replace the signs that welcome people into the city on the major roadways. And one of the items was the fact that there was room for a slogan. And at the time, the city did not have a current slogan. And so the direction that we took, well, your direction was to go out and hear what our public had to say. So we started a campaign March 31st through April 4th, where using print media, electronic media, social media, we asked the community to give us their thoughts. We also used the citizen feedback line. We used the city's website. We received more than 1,390 responses. Of those responses, 718 of those were for City of Arts and Innovation. The next group that was able to gather up was 23 who commented, "We can do it." That was the slogan suggestion. 21 responses were some derivative of "Welcome Home." 13 included Twin City, a reference to it, and 10 were for City of the Arts. These were the comments that we were able to extract both from the form that was on the website, the citizen feedback line, the social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We produced a video that ran on YouTube that we pointed to, had several media reports that carried the story for us, and there was a lot of talk in the community, a lot of emails going around. Councilmember Montgomery, I believe it was, suggested that we make contact with some of the larger groups in the city and be sure that they knew that we were in this process. As the campaign started on Monday, we thought adequate notification was that on Friday we would notify those groups of what we were doing before we sent our news release out, and we did that. And so those are the results from the effort to find a slogan for the city, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? I just want to know how many rude ones you got that you had to throw out.
Didn't throw them out. We kept all of them. We kept all of them. It was interesting. I've been doing this for a few years now, and it's always interesting when you go out and ask the public what their thoughts are. They're happy to tell you. And it was also interesting to see the number of people who weren't from our area who felt some kinship enough that they wanted to have us say. People who had lived here and moved away, people who lived outside of the area, but they spent so much time here that they thought they wanted to have a say as well. So speaks to the sense of community that our city has even beyond our boundaries.
Okay, very good, very good. Any comments? I thought we were the City of Arts and Innovation anyway, so I'm glad we're officially that now.
Are we?
Well.
We need a motion
Yes,
on
we
that.
do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
That's right.
And I'll leave that to my colleague.
I will move that we adopt City of Arts and Innovation as city slogan.
Thank you.
I'll allow the chair to second that.
I'll second it.
Just a couple of comments. I'm only disappointed that we didn't have a groundswell for some of the other options. I remember seeing one that indicated in recognition of the regenerative medicine work that we should be the City of Arts and Body Parts. I saw another that said, no, we have a deep history of racing and we should be the City of Arts and Auto Parts. Mm-hmm. And my all-time favorite, which just did not get consideration, was Winston-Salem. We laugh at ourselves, so you don't have to. But I guess I'll just have to go along with the crowd favorite. And I will note on a more serious vein that sometimes we can get so self-contained that we don't realize that what we know, not everybody that would be interested knows.
That's right.
Just early in the process, I asked at random two of my friends, what do you think about the slogan City of Arts and Innovation? They said, never heard of it. And these were intelligent, well-informed, active citizens. Mm-hmm. So there is not the kind of universal penetration of that a lot of folks mistakenly assume. So I think this was a process with utility in generating discussion among the community, and think that we could do worse than to have similar processes on an ongoing basis. And once some of my friends stopped grumbling about the need to support a slogan that they thought was already official, and organized their friends and supporters, I see that there was an overwhelming amount of support for that. So that would be my comment.
I got lots of feedback and commentary as well about, isn't that already our slogan? So and I've been through branding efforts in the past and with corporations and neighborhoods and things. It's awfully hard to change public perception of what they perceive the name of something to be. There was talk about changing the name downtown Winston-Salem to uptown. You know, it takes so much more energy to change people's minds than to go with something that is, in my experience here, is pretty well thought of as the slogan. So, I mean, I think it's a good choice. I think people were kind of flummoxed as to why we were doing this, and I had to explain to people that we would have been criticized if we did it without asking people's opinion. So I think it was the right move to go ask folks' opinion.
Mr. McNeil.
Chairman, one of the things that was really interesting in this was the amount of thought that went into it from our citizens, and I know you all, certainly anytime we ask the public, you're appreciative of their support, and to have just the passion that we saw with some of these. There were people who, and we heard more details from people, more justification from people about City of Arts and Innovation, but we also heard from people who didn't mention the arts or innovation that talked about it's just a great place to be. And we thought that's very telling. I thought it was really interesting as you go through 1,390 comments, and we did, to go through and hear the justifications, listen to the voicemails, and just hear what people think about our city was really one of those it makes you feel good to see that people took some time to think it through.
Very good, thank you. And what about, will we now be using this on the entrances to Winston-Salem?
Full council.
We'll need to send it on to full council
Yeah,
next week. I'm assuming they'll adopt it. We'll adopt it as a council, and then we will add it to that's how this started, was the state's request for the new Welcome to Winston-Salem sign. So yes, we will be putting on.
All right, very good, yes, sir.
And we would have to go back and look at how we carry that forward for ourselves now that if it were approved by full council, then we'd adopt it as a part of our branding for the city.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Ed.
Are we? I don't know. Yeah, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. No one opposed, I hope. Mr. Bessie?
No, I said aye.
Yeah.
I have to rib people a little bit, but I won't do that.
Okay. Is there anything that anyone would like to bring up?
Motion to adjourn?
Yes, okay. We are adjourned. Public Works